Nairobi is the start of the last leg of this exploration of Kenya and her peoples. Dos Winkel and family are planning a trip to Kenya's far north to photograph the fabled shores of Lake Turkana.
Kenya's far north is well off the regular tourist track. Even most Kenyans never get up there. It's too dangerous to drive. For one thing, the roads are virtually non-existent and bandit attacks still common. There is only one thing we can do: fly.
The final preparations are being made. The chosen transport, a rugged Cessna 206. Her design may be 40 years old, but she's still the most versatile bush plane in operation. George Rumager's first choice when faced with the challenges of a trip to the wild country on Kenya's remote northern border.
If this is the plane...
I don't believe that. Is this the plane?
Hi, George.
Dos's request to be able to open the side window to take photographs in flight means a small alteration to the aircraft is necessary.
I hope you realize we're cutting the plane in half for you now.
What a pity.
You see what we have to do for you, Dos.
It's incredible.
Well, I'm hoping that this screwdriver will be able to turn it.
Now, you can give me something that's squashable.
But our first challenge would be finding space in this small aircraft for 6 people and all our gear.
That's fine.
George,
there.
can we put this in the back of the plane? Huh?
This is full, this is...
Okay, let's see how much
And-
we have in.
Hey, have a good flight, everybody.
Now we're leaving Nairobi behind and all its technical support. From now on, navigation will be more a question of dead reckoning and hard-won experience.
The northern half of Kenya is a vast, sparsely populated desert. The dry shrub and rocky wasteland is home to some of Kenya's most fascinating and least known people, like the Turkana, the Gabra, and the Dasanach. After 3 hours of flying, the 206 is edging its way over the desolate Chalbi Desert, an endless stretch of ochre patched with salt. George is heading for its northern rim, a small island of life fed by a natural underground spring. Called Kalachadida, it means place of open space. The stop is a chance to refuel and get to know briefly the settled Gabra community living here. With temperatures frequently topping 50 degrees Celsius, the only respite comes from the constant driving wind. Most people in the community still use the traditional collapsible hut, designed to be packed on the back of a camel. Uniquely the work of women, a house like this can be assembled from scratch in less than half an hour. The Gabra's fine features tell of their origins several hundred kilometers to the north, in the Horn of Africa, from where they migrated south some 2 to 3 centuries ago. The Gabra are traditionally camel herders, but the recent years of drought have stripped this group of nomads of their animals and forced them to settle. A trauma like this often leads to the collapse of traditional culture, but that's far from the case here. After going through some hard times, the community is finding new direction, in part through the efforts of a remarkable woman known as Chulani. Under her guidance, a group of 50 women have come together to tackle the new challenges of a settled life. By attracting modest funds from foreign donors, the group has managed to provide help to the most vulnerable in the community, such as widows, the disabled, and the elderly. But the group's crowning achievement has been the building of this multi-purpose community center. Its prime function being to generate income by providing accommodation to passing visitors. This income is then cycled into a number of educational activities, including paying school fees for children who can't afford to go to school, and providing lessons each day to the women of Kalatra, teaching them to read and write.
Yai yanaanguka chini.
Yai anaanguka chini.
Bida au kutoka bida kutoka yanaanguka chini.
Yanaanguka chini.
Yai yanaanguka chini.
Chulani, why did you start all of this?
Nauliza, kwa nini ulianza hiyo project?
Sababu sisi nataka kupunguza maskini.
She says that they wanted to try and rise out of the poverty they were into. A lot of the camels had been lost through the drought. They had to somehow find a way out of this situation.
Okay, and you know, Chulani, I'm very curious about the circumcision. Are you against it? Do you encourage it or not?
Ndio hiyo bambo, sisi naenda kueleza watu ya group, nakaa chini, nafanya mkutano, naenda kueleza community kwa njia mzuri.
They've got an ongoing sort of educational project which not only tries to convince people that they should stop the practice, but also awareness on diseases and so forth, such as HIV.
Watu awache kutahiri.
Okay, that's very good. Huh?
The health situation is a big concern. It's not only AIDS. Every day, 3,000 children die in Africa because of malaria. Chloroquine is the cheapest and most common Western drug used. But it's now ineffective because of resistance. I want to find out how a small community in a remote area like this copes. Malim Hussein is the traditional medicine man in town. I want to meet him and see what he can tell me.
Dos. Mimi Malim Hussein.
Malim Hussein. So, you're the medicine man here. So, what kind of patients do you treat? What kind of diseases do they have?
Malaria has got medicine here.
He can treat it?
Yes.
You can treat it? Really?
Malaria.
When this medicine dry up, it's put into a small container and crush it all until it's in powder form. And this one is bitter.
How well does this work? I mean, is there any competition with the Western, modern malaria treatment?
Kami terdesak. Betul kan?
No, can
I say those people are nomads. They prefer this medicine.
Asante sana.
With around 80% of people in Africa relying on traditional medicine for their basic healthcare, the World Health Organization is now researching traditional treatments for a whole range of major diseases, including HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. The idea is to evaluate the effectiveness and safety of various cures and then make the best of these more widely available. With traditional cultures under threat, it's also vital that this ancient knowledge is preserved for the future.
I have the feeling I'm really hurting this goat, but no. Okay, you do it again. It's only drops. It's empty.
Before leaving Kalacha, the team is urged to take a trip out into the rough lava plains to the east. It's only 20 kilometers or so, but on this rock-strewn corrugated road, the ride takes nearly 2 hours.
It's been a bone-jarring ride through this rough lava desert, but we've been told that on the base of this hill there are some very special rock paintings. And now, of course, we're very curious to find out if it was worth this trip. These very graceful paintings are actually no paintings. These are engravings. And these are obviously giraffe. It looks more like a kind of a study that they did on this animal. As far as we know, nobody knows how old these engravings are, but one thing is for sure, that giraffe don't live here since a very long time.
This is tantalizing evidence that thousands of years ago, before this region was devastated by volcanic activity, the environment here was lush and green and supported both people and a whole assortment of wildlife.
Well, here's another giraffe. That could be an oryx. And this really looks like an elephant. There must have been a time that there were plenty of animals here.
The next day, the team reached the southern tip of Lake Turkana.
Seeing for the first time the shimmering blue body of water set off against this bare volcanic ground is breathtaking.
Because of algae that sometimes colors the surface waters green, Lake Turkana is also known as the Jade Sea. This is the largest permanent desert lake in the world. The lake has no outlet, but the water level remains reasonably stable due to the incredible rate of evaporation, an amazing 3 to 4 meters a year, which also turns the water bitter alkaline, making it barely drinkable. From its southern point, it stretches 250 kilometers north to the Ethiopian border, where the Omo River discharges her flow.
We're going to route now again pretty much due north. Trileret will be flying for about 45 minutes. We seem to have a tailwind.
Lake Turkana rose to international attention in 1969 when, on a flight south from Ethiopia, Richard Leakey was able to recognize from the air fossil-rich beds on this eastern shore. Since then, working with his wife Meve, the Leakeys have uncovered a treasure trove of pre-human fossils that have helped construct the most detailed picture we have of our rich and distant past. George takes the plane down low, looking for signs of the current Leakey expedition, which again this year is searching for fossils on Turkana's eastern shore.
Before the plane has even come to a standstill, we're surrounded by what seems like the whole population of the area. These are the Dasanach people, perhaps Kenya's least known tribe. In fact, the majority live in Ethiopia, just 15 kilometers to the north. When the colonialists were drawing up the borders here, this group found themselves on the wrong side of the line. Something the Dasanach are still coming to terms with.
Hey, come on.
We're met by Meve Leakey, the head of the paleontology division at Kenya's National Museum. A key player in a legendary family who have done so much to uncover the mysteries of our human origins. But it's daughter Louise who's the boss here now, leading her first expedition as part of the process of taking over the work of this famous family.
Hi!
Hi! Okay, there we go. So, how do you like it working here?
It's fantastic. And it's also very rewarding when you find the specimens. But it's, you know, not every year you come up with the goods. You end up sort of having long periods of time with nothing terribly exciting to announce. But then when you got it, they'll just say, oh, they're at it again.
Yeah, of course, that makes it.
Keep working.
Where are we going actually, Louise?
We're going to an area of fossil exposures that's slightly up the road from us here, where we've been looking for fossils for the last few days. And it's a fairly rich site. It's probably around about 1.3 million years. And so our fossil crew are going to be scanning slowly the surface, looking for bones, which I'll come along and collect with, you know, more detail.
And the most exciting find here, on this side of the lake?
This side of the lake, well, you see, we've only just come back to work on this side of the lake in the last couple of years. Previous to that, it was work that my mother and father were doing through the 70s, and there were many exciting discoveries. Every week or so they were finding something exciting. And I wasn't here, I was just a child running around in the lake shore and swimming and having fun and collecting the odd fossil that didn't matter too much. So I don't really remember any of those big finds. I see them now and read the stories behind them, but it was terribly exciting, of course.
Yeah.
I guess we're nearly here. Here we go. Let's hope that's all dear.
Curious what we're going to find here.
Yes, it should be a good morning.
Fossils are one of my great passions, and this looks like heaven.
Now, keep your eyes open for fossils.
Oh, really?
Oh yes, you just walked on one there.
No.
The fossils are just littering the ground. You really have to be careful where you put your feet.
The thing about up here is if you pick up a fossil, you've got to put it back exactly where you find it.
Yes.
Oh.
Because if it moves and there was something else with it, then you've lost the context.
Yeah.
So just feel free to pick things up and have a look, and then put them back down. See, that's another fossil there.
The shores of Lake Turkana are one of the best places in the world to go looking for fossils, especially hominid ones. Not only did many early humans live here, the natural processes operating helped preserve them. Over a period of about 4 million years, hundreds of meters of sediment have built up, trapping the skeletons of both the ancient hominids and the animals that live with them. In 1999, Mieve and Louise's team made a sensational discovery: the skull of an entirely new species of early human ancestor. The remains suggested for the first time that more than one species of hominid lived together side by side.
Patrick Kathogo is the geologist here. Having started working for the Leakeys as a fossil hunter, he's now completing a doctorate in the US. And according to his professor, he's one of the most talented students he's ever had. Patrick's work is key to dating all the finds.
Yeah, currently I'm the only geologist, and there are several other geologists who visit this area every season.
Yes.
And we walk around looking for certain geological markers, like ash, which came as a result of a volcanic eruption. And if you can see a volcanic ash above and another one below the fossil, then you can take some minerals from the rocks that came from the eruption. And if you can date the one below and the one above, then we can be able to confine the age of the fossil.
Patrick and his colleagues have been able to show that the fossils here are around 1.3 million years old. As far as human evolution goes, that takes us back to the time of Homo erectus. These early people were probably the first humans to master fire and wear clothing, giving them what they needed to leave Africa and spread into Asia and Europe.
Right, because we've definitely lost this piece. This has come out somewhere. We have to find that.
There's a little kichungi anyway.
Yeah.
I think this bit's gone. That should have the mandibular condyle on it.
The only bright color in the landscape comes from a plant known commonly as the desert rose. In fact, this succulent comes from the periwinkle family, and in these northern desert regions it often grows to the size of a small tree. Its swollen trunk and roots store large quantities of water, allowing it to survive the long dry spells.
Yeah, now I take one from below.
Nearby, Dos finds a mound strewn with large pieces of fossilized bone, which his medical background helps make sense of.
I just found an almost complete skeleton of a hippo broken into many pieces, and now my original profession as an orthopedic physical therapist really comes in very handy. This, for instance, is the axis. That's the second vertebra of the vertebral spine, and it's very interesting to see how little room the spinal cord had. Here my little finger is the place where the spinal cord runs normally. And this, for instance, this is a scapula or shoulder blade. And this is the place where the humerus, the upper arm, articulates with the shoulder blade. Anyway, now I have to put them back exactly on the same spot where I found them, because it's very important for the identification.
Susie Coate is a paleoecologist. Her job is to help reconstruct the whole habitat that existed here millions of years ago.
Susie, what is this?
This is a pig skull.
Pig skull?
Right, when we found it, all we could see was this tooth sticking up out of the ground. One of our men found it when he was surveying. So what you're actually seeing here is the upper teeth of the jaw. It's upside down.
Now I see, it's upside down. So this is up here.
Yes.
And this is...
This is the palate. It's like the roof of the mouth.
Yeah,
so this
the
would be the
maxilla,
palate.
Actually,
the two
yes.
teeth. And so what we have, this is the back of the skull.
Spinal cord.
Right. And then this would be the front of the skull here. And then this tusk has been displaced. It should be up at the front, but it's been moved around, probably from water transport.
Can you explain to me why you are looking for animal fossils?
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought the main search here was for hominid bones, hominid fossils.
Right, so finding animal bones helps us to know the sort of environment we're dealing with. So it tells us what kind of vegetation might have been around that these hominids could have been using. It tells us, perhaps a little bit later in the record, if the hominids were hunting, what kind of animals they might have been eating. And it tells us a little bit more about change through time, because if you watch how animals change through time in the fossil record, that's a really good indication of how the climate is changing and what effects that might be having on hominids.
One of the goals of this expedition is to find out more about Homo erectus. More of his remains have been found here than anywhere else on Earth. In particular, Louise is keen to settle a family discussion over his origins. Did Homo erectus walk into the Turkana Basin from somewhere else? Or was this his birthplace?
This is quite different work than marine biology, eh?
Yeah, I thought I'd do marine biology for a little while. But then I got more involved with paleontology and the expeditions when my father had a plane crash in the early 90s, and I then came back and actually had to run the expedition because my mother had to leave. And then subsequently I've joined her on many of the expeditions every year, and we work very closely together now. And now probably won't look back at marine biology unless I'm on vacation, because of course I'll always have that passion.
Yep.
Here, the vital job of recording and cataloging the hundreds of finds made so far gets underway.
4.27217 east 36.
We're only a few days into this expedition, and so far no hominid fossils have been found. But what we did find is several basalt tools, like this hand axe. It looks very crude, but it fits my hand really beautifully. It's an amazing idea that more than 1 million years ago, someone must have had it in his hand just the way I'm doing it now. And this is a fragment of a vertebra of a Nile perch, a fish that, incredibly enough, still lives in the lake today.
So what is this?
This is the skull of a fossil turtle.
A fossil turtle?
Yeah.
It's beautiful, huh? Oof, that's heavy too.
Is that a rare find, or...?
I think maybe we got one other triankyid from here.
So this is a really
But that's a particularly nice one.
Yeah,
Really nice.
yeah, it's almost complete.
He's rather sweet, I thought.
Yes.
I like his face.
Yeah, no, you're right.
While waiting for that next major hominid find to show up, Louise aims to carry the Leakey legacy yet another generation forward by building a permanently manned research station on these eastern shores of Lake Turkana, making it possible for researchers to work out here all year round.
Out here, in the middle of nowhere, I feel dwarfed by the thought that humans have lived here without a break for millions of years. That evening, as the whole team comes together for a well-earned meal, plans are made for the next stage of our trip. Although we're only heading 20 to 30 kilometers north, it will probably take us the best part of the day. Louise's interest in the plight of the local people has only made me more interested in meeting them.
And there's a carmine bee eater.
You never get stuck in the sun? No? I hope this time you're lucky too.
Finally, Bertie notices a group of women collecting water from a well in a dry riverbed. This will be our first encounter with a traditional Dasanach community.
A friendship is soon struck up, and the family are invited to visit the village. The Dasanach are divided into two groups. The vast majority are pastoralists who keep sheep, goats and the odd cow, while a small group have left their herds and taken to fishing the rich waters of the lake.
It sounds like a cliché, but walking into this village feels like you've stepped back centuries in time. The Dasanach have a ferocious reputation as warriors with the tribes around here, but thankfully we're getting a very friendly welcome. This is a collection of about a dozen reed huts, known as silucho.
To help break the ice, Femke and Bertie join the women who are weaving mats. Using reed gathered from the lakeshore, a rugged mat is produced, used for covering the huts.
We have to peel these things, and I have to work fast. She's a fast worker. I have to do it too. Look, is that good? Oh, not good enough. This is good enough. It's good? No, this one. Look. You almost got one.
Oh, this one is end up. Now
Yeah.
another one.
Then you make a knot.
Yeah,
Sort of
like
knot,
that.
yeah.
That's-
Teamwork, huh?
Yeah, teamwork.
I'm invited to meet the village fortune teller. He'd already been informed of our arrival, and I was told that he wanted to meet me.
Well, actually, this man is going to tell me my future, but my near future. What is going to happen within the next few days. And normally the local people give him like a goat or some tobacco, but we agreed to pay him some money. And then I will know what's going to happen today and tomorrow. So even the placement of the money plays a very important role, and the position of the shoes. This is tobacco.
Yeah.
So he's saying, I see that this is all good to you, to me, to the children, and to the family. It was good, and this one is also good now.
So there's hope for me, eh?
Yeah. He's saying that you are in a good position. Let's go. Where you are, it's good. One more time. You see, it is not coming to me, it's not coming to anybody else, it's coming directly to you.
So I'm really relieved. This is a very good sign. The shoe always comes to me, and that's good. It keeps coming to me.
It is keeping coming to you. He's saying that one day in your lifetime, when you will be alive, you will be called, you will be rewarded, and you will be called a big person somewhere.
Asante sana. Mzuri sana.
So you will be rewarded.
I'm gonna do some detail shots.
That's nice.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm any wiser, but he sure knows how to make it entertaining. And somehow I feel happy that everything turned out positive.
Dasanach women spend hours braiding and shaving their heads, creating elaborate hairstyles. But in Dasanach culture, it's the men who outdo the women as far as hairdos go. These magnificent creations of painted clay can only be worn by a man who's achieved special status in the clan.
Before these fishermen set off, they want to check some baited hooks lying just offshore, and I am invited to join.
There are not really many Dasanach people left in Kenya, maybe a few more in Ethiopia. They have lived their lives probably unchanged for more than 1,000 years, and it's really wonderful to share a few days with them here.
The hooks have nothing on them, but before dropping me back, the men show me how they'll use their spears to fish with later. Most of the fishing is done during the late afternoon and night, off some islands in the middle of the lake. I'm curious what kinds of fish they'll bring back tomorrow. After a night dodging the scorpions, I get up to make some tea. It's not long before I'm joined by all the kids in Silucho.
Hey, Captain. Let's have a seat.
Who's the captain? Oh, he's
the captain.
That's the real one.
Fish is already being carried up from the boats, so I head for the shore, leaving Bertie and Femke to explore the village further.
They caught a lot, eh? Hichi.
Hichi, yes.
Hichi.
Yeah.
We call it Nile perch.
Nile perch, yes.
Oh, he's still alive.
It's still alive.
This is the Nile perch, virtually a living fossil. Their vertebrae are the same as the ones we found at the Leakey's camp. They look pretty impressive, but actually they can grow more than 4 times as big. It's amazing to think that this scene has been repeated hundreds of thousands of times in the past. I want to take some pictures, but the light conditions are not at all great. The best thing I can do now is concentrate on composition.
This small group of Dasanach live purely from what they catch on the lake. While this is mostly fish, it also includes crocodile and turtle when the opportunity arises. While most Dasanach look down on the lifestyle of these fisherfolk, they in fact enjoy a distinct advantage in this desolate country. Even in times of serious drought, they'll always have something to eat. Bertie has been invited into a house for a more intimate look at Dasanach life.
Hello. Yeah, thank you.
Kusha shows off her calabashes, used to serve up both food and drink.
Oh, that's light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for food only.
For food only.
Yes,
and what
not-
is then for drinking? And that one is for drinking.
This one is now for drinking. You see inside are
Okay.
different. This one is dark
Yeah.
because of there are some waste of coffee, and then the other one is a bit inside is white.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, it's beautiful, huh?
Yeah.
The hat.
Ala chura ma le din yana. Iba chut ala ni din yana. Atala.
And it is just in half, so that the men have half of the half?
Yeah. Halfway. The other side for the women, the kids.
So it is divided exactly into
two.
So
Yeah.
the husband have
This side.
that's the big part.
No, it should be halfway. Halfway.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, so-
should be halfway.
And how many kids are in the does she have?
Kumia.
Just said there.
3 kids. She has 3 kids. 2 boys and 1 girl.
And where's the husband now?
Ale ayo get kan belko ale.
I was
It's not here. He has went for fishing out 3 days ago.
3 days ago. Oh, and when is he coming back?
She doesn't know exactly the day that he will be back, but she's guessing maybe after 10 days.
Okay, so 10 days, and that is normal? So that's almost 2 weeks on the lake then.
Yeah.
And when her husband is coming back with all that fish, what are they doing with that?
Alam ke belko ale.
Nyiki ida nyire mesate. Ram me jena.
Oh. The husband is drying the fish, and then when he comes with, some they are using it to eat, and then the rest they are selling it to the traders. The fresh one is for the kids, the family to eat, and then the dry one is to sell. Yeah.
Asante.
In a neighboring village, preparations are being made for a major celebration that is held each year in the Dasanach heartland, some 50 kilometers north across the border. Hundreds of families gather for a week-long celebration, marking the coming of age of their daughters.
We're very fortunate because they're training for the Dimi festival that takes place once a year in Ethiopia. And we're here at this moment. Great.
Each father commissions a song for the event, celebrating the high points in his and his daughter's life. They're composed and performed by traveling bands of professional musicians. After having discussed final changes, the group performs for the father's approval, which he gives here by presenting the leader of the group with a white feather.
Turkana has a very special magic. After visiting Louise Leakey and her team, and now the Dasanach people, I have a very strong feeling for how life must have gone on here, virtually unchanged, for many thousands of years. And actually, because of its isolation, it's probably gonna stay like this for a long, long time to come.